the governor of Delta State where he will be represented, the special advisor to the president of Niger Delta Affairs, Royal Father here present, the chairman of the Kampolo Foundation, distinguished personalities here present. The fact is clear that in the Niger Delta, the central problem is under-development amidst a huge resource contribution. Poverty, which is at the bottom of the grievances and marginality of the youth and the citizens of the region, has not been alleviated. It has been advocated severally that the best strategy in the circumstance is a Marshall Plan of massive and extensive development and economic empowerment. This has not happened. Fast and aggressive development interventions such as the Niger Delta Development Board, UNPADEC and IBTC failed or are failing on the altar of top-down approach, hijacked by the elites, corruption, huge operational costs, elephants of sustainable and abandoned projects, and performance deficits. The agency development has been a jamboree of political contractors and has been a museum for elephants whitewashed or completed, abandoned, and high-cost projects that have had little bearing on the people's livelihoods in the Niger Delta. The situation of scant development attention has not considerably changed. Federal government efforts remain trickle, poorly funded, centralized, and poorly performing interventions. As the state-directed development failed, the community turned to the transnational oil companies. This became the major source of community tenacity conflicts since the 1970s. Unsustainable petroleum production practices are still pervasive and deepening. Poverty, underemployment, socio-economic dislocations, and degenerating local economies. The corruption in the region has been awesome. In spite of perceived needs, the regional citizens in office have treated and wasted much of the derivation-based resources that have accrued to the region. As afflicted elsewhere in the Niger Delta, there have been so much hopes that were dashed, promises that failed, and expectations that were not met. Government has been like a circus dance, plenty of talk that were not matched with actions, funds that were supposedly released that produced nothing, and plenty of motions and actions that didn't improve lives. There is need to build good governance systems and to construct new regimes of accountability and transparency if development is to be accelerated. A new strategy of development that is people-centered and participatory, and that is different from the previous failed and failing efforts based on command and centralized authority has to be instituted. The anchor of this development strategy should be communities and local people who, through extensive participation, should now drive development. The problem of the region is partly a consequence of the unsustainable oil and gas production systems and operations of the transnational oil companies. The TLCs have to restore the sources of livelihoods that have been destroyed and must contribute substantially to the restoration and regeneration of livelihoods and local economies of the region. There is need for massive educational and healthcare interventions to strengthen human capital, which is so terribly underdeveloped in the riverine and coastal parts of the Niger Delta. With poor access to education and healthcare, these areas are deprived of their potential for sustainable livelihoods and development. The current state of public sector provisions, inadequate as it is plagued with decay, poor services, poor patronage, and poor satisfaction. The Kampolo Foundation example. The intervention of eminent Niger Deltans in the physical and human development of the Niger Delta is long overdue. Chief Government Kolo is a hero of the struggle for the emancipation and development of the Niger Delta. As a freedom fighter, he sought government attention massive development attention and substantive transformation of the fortunes of Niger Delta people for over a decade. He struggled and sacrificed much for the development of this region. As an individual, the High Chief intervened massively in the development and welfare challenges of the Gwaramatu Kingdom. Numerous citizens of the kingdom benefited from his support, assistance, protection, and philanthropy. Only recently, a major publishing house in the United States requested a blog that a brief marketing commentary on the forthcoming book about the resource education in Niger Delta from me. The comments of all those that were interviewed by the author and his assistant, the Gwaramatu Kingdom, about the magnanimity and contribution of the High Chief were clearly commendation. Now the Chief wants to contribute directly to the development fortunes and welfare of the Niger Delta. He is moving beyond physical development of Gwaramatu to the entire Niger Delta region. He wants to deploy his funds to facilitate access to the critical services of education and healthcare. In doing this, ladies and gentlemen, the High Chief has turned full circle as a development activist. He's not just a freedom fighter for development, but a facilitator, catalyst, and agent of development and welfare. The Chief, by this foundation, has laid the trail for all of us. All hands must be on the plow for the development of the Niger Delta region. This is beyond rhetoric. It's beyond activism. It's beyond the right things that we do and politics. It is about its actual substantive contribution to the improvement of the laws of the people of the Niger Delta region. The region remains underdeveloped and disadvantaged, and all of us must do something to alleviate the suffering of our people. We have waited enough for the federal government, state governments, local governments, and international organizations. They have not done enough. We have to wait. The time is now. In post-Amnesty Niger Delta, what is happening? The deep underlying grievance that sought the agitation and insurgency are clearly well known. The Niger Delta struggle was not just for development, but for the appropriate conditions that guarantees development. These conditions, which are clearly political, included resource control, self-determination, regional autonomy, self-development, and federal restructuring. Various committees have submitted reports on this, including the Delegated Technical Committee that studied all the reports and made conclusions. The resolution of the political grievances that confuse marginality of other development does not seem to be central to the agenda of this government. Even the now famous petroleum industry bill, with some promise of community equity participation in the oil industry, has been in the limbo in the National Assembly for over 3 years. The current attempt at constitutional amendment has not placed the demands of this region in clear perspective. The development situation of the post-Amnesty Niger Delta has not substantially changed. The promised massive infrastructure development has remained largely a mirage. As noted elsewhere, there cannot be sustainable peace except the conditions that generated the conflict are reordered and transformed. And my conclusion. Let us appreciate and thank High Chief Government for this noble idea. We pray that this foundation will ultimately affect the lives of every Niger Delta. We hope that it will be so well managed that it will outlive him and serve many generations after him, and become like the Rockefeller Foundation and the Ford Foundation. We hope that this foundation will reach out to, link up with, and partner with NGOs, CBOs, and even international organizations to effectively